Hi everyone, this is Connor Downey, and you are listening to the Vitalis Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Vitalis Podcast, where we dive deep into the truth behind health, healing, and longevity. I am your host, Connor Downey, and I am so grateful to have you on today. This is episode number 3. Truthfully, I want to take a second and thank you all from the bottom of my heart, and I just cannot express enough gratitude. If you all are taking the time out of your day to tune into this, it means the world. I'm so grateful to have you all listening to this and me being able to offer some type of value back into your lives and hopefully help you on your journey to health, help you reclaim your health and live the best and fullest life that you can. So no matter your position in health, no matter what you're dealing with, or if you have friends and family that are kind of in a rough position, you're just trying to live a healthier life, thank you for tuning in. And I hope that I can guide you on your journey a little bit. Now, episode number 3, today's episode, we're really getting into one of the most foundational conversations in wellness, which is detoxing our body. So last episode, we really talked about how to limit toxic exposure, which in my opinion is step number 1, preventing more and more toxins coming into your body. So, essentially doing everything that we can to take our foot off of that brake and start living the healthiest life we can. The second step in that process is detoxing. Now that we're limiting toxic exposure, now we need to get what is still inside of our body out of our body. And so in that process, if you've ever struggled with fatigue, brain fog, skin issues, bloating, anxiety, the list goes on, autoimmune issues, you are likely carrying some kind of toxic burden in your body that you were never meant to handle. And my goal here is to help you with ways to heal, cleanse, and reclaim your health. So if you guys are ready to jump into it, the number one thing that I think we should begin when it comes to detoxing our body, how do we start breaking free from toxins? The first one is fluoride. I kind of talked about it in the last video. Fluoride is a real threat. It's a hidden threat, and it is commonly found in our drinking water and our toothpastes. It is now well studied for its role in pineal gland calcification, which is our higher level thinking. It is also our the part of our brain that is very spiritual and our spiritual perception. And it's also responsible for thyroid suppression and IQ reduction, especially in children. The best ways to start detoxing your body from fluoride, we've talked about getting a reverse osmosis water filter. If you can't get a whole house water filter, something that you can put under your sink or that you specifically drink out of is very important. So limiting the water that we're putting into our body. After that, if we can obviously limit the fluoride exposure in the water that we're putting on our hands and putting on our bodies in our showers and things like that, that's kind of the next step. After that, when we're really filtering our water, we want to start remineralizing our water. So you can get an add back system, or what I really love to do is I take Baja Gold sea salt, which has over 90 trace minerals, unlike common table salt. So Baja Gold sea salt is great. I take anywhere from an eighth to a quarter of a teaspoon of it, which is right around 500 to 1,000 milligrams, just like what you'd see in any of your electrolyte packets that you would take on a consistent basis. So that's a great kind of starting point to once again limit your fluoride exposure, give your body back those minerals that are really important. The second 2 things that I've really seen to start detoxing your body from fluoride is iodine. Iodine is fantastic. It is competitive with fluoride in our thyroid gland, and the supplement is really designed to displace fluoride, as we've kind of seen in support for a lot of hormone health. And then fulvic acid, humic acid, they're really shown to bind to fluoride and support the removal through our urine. And then, of course, it also supports pineal detox, heavy metal chelation, so the filtering of our blood and our cells, kind of forcing that out of our body at a cellular level. So if you're interested too, there are other chelation procedures that you can do. This is one really good way from a supplement standpoint that you can do at home. So get a good iodine supplement. If you guys are looking for great iodine supplements, the link in my bio on Instagram, you can go and check those out. I have some great links to a couple different companies that I really prefer. Iodine, and then as well as fulvic acid. So fulvic acid is in Shilajit. You can do fulvic acid scrubs. Fulvic acid, in my opinion, is fantastic. I love Shilajit because it specifically is going to boost other areas of your body like testosterone and so many other things. We'll talk about it. One of the really great companies that I love is it's pretty popular too on social media, Rogers Hood Apothecary. Really great when we start talking about parasite cleansing, which we'll jump into next. They have a fulvic acid scrub, which fulvic acid is excellent for parasites as well. So you can pull a lot of things out of your body with fulvic acid, but it is in Shilajit. There's a high fulvic acid component. Find Shilajit that has a high fulvic acid component and then take that on a consistent basis. First thing in the morning is the best, right when you wake up. That's going to kind of boost everything in your body, get you some nice jolts of energy too. So fulvic acid, and then obviously really kind of getting rid of that fluoride as much as possible. So we can open up higher level thinking. We can decalcify our pineal gland. We start limiting toxic exposure. We're going to start protecting our thyroid, especially with the iodine. So that's kind of step one in the detox process. Now, the next step is really parasite cleansing. That's one thing that I really want to talk about with people. It's estimated that up to 90% of people have some form of a parasite. There's a lot of parasites. There's thousands of different types of parasites, especially if you eat a lot of sushi or seafood, undercooked meat. If you travel internationally, they're in our water, they're in our food sources. So they go undetected for years, causing nutrient depletion, gut damage, chronic fatigue, all sorts of things. So if you are putting on weight and you feel like your body is not functioning at the capacity that it needs to, and you feel chronically fatigued and tired, and you have all this brain fog, you probably have some sort of a parasite. Most people do. Most indigenous cultures or a lot of cultures that are in and around seafood and eat a lot of fish have these common things that they just put in their herbs. They put a lot of things in their food on a consistent basis to do these parasite detoxes. So I highly recommend it. Do a parasite detox at least twice a year. At least twice a year, you should be getting rid of parasites. Really, the change of season. So every 3 months, you should do a parasite cleanse. That's the best. And you'll notice that you feel better. You're getting all of these things out of your body that are truthfully destroying your body, causing so many number of reactions and fatigue and health. And so from personal experience, which I feel like we're really leaning to as a society. I feel like we're really getting away from, a lot of this, there's so much research out there. Everybody quotes research. I know I talked about it earlier in this podcast, but truthfully, real world experience is the best. I see so many times people quote research. The research hasn't been updated in 50 years. So now we're turning as a society, and I think awakening more towards have people really experience this and lived this. So yes, I have personally done parasite cleanses. I love doing parasite cleanses. I had a remarkable change in my health, my performance, how I felt, my body's ability to heal, my GI health. So many things changed when I started working on my body's ability from a detox standpoint, specifically on parasites. So some of the supplements that are really important, like I said, I can tell you there's a lot of really great companies out there that do parasite detoxes. One of the most known ones, like I said, is Rogers Hood Apothecary. They have a lot of really good supplements, really, really focused on educating people and putting things in there from a perspective of what's going to work as well as possible. So check them out. I think they're fantastic. There's other ones, like I said, in the link in my bio on Instagram. The important things that you're looking for are wormwood, black walnut, and clove. Those are the 3 most common ones, the 3 herbs that work synergistically. A black walnut is going to kill parasites. It's going to work with wormwood, which attacks the larvae, and then they work with clove, which is going to destroy the eggs. A lot of times parasites, when you start disrupting their home and causing it to be inhospitable inside of your body, which is what you want to do. Anything bitter that you can put in there, they don't like things that are bitter. This trio that you kind of experience between clove, black walnut, wormwood is attacking not just the adults and their larvae, but once they start leaving their home, they start laying eggs to obviously carry on their species. So you want to destroy the eggs as well. So clove is very important. There's a lot of foods you can take. Most people eat these foods on a consistent basis. So a papaya is great. I love pumpkin seeds. I just get organic raw pumpkin seeds and eat those. There is a lot of other things that you can take from like a food standpoint, anything that has that bitterness component. The important thing is that these parasites can burrow in the indentation of the smooth muscle that we have, especially in our GI system. And they basically create a biofilm that protects them, and it prevents them from showing up on tests and exams. Another great supplement is lugwort lichen, which is there's a lot of parasite cleanses that'll have that in there to break up the biofilm, bust the biofilm, start flushing out the parasites in that aspect effect as well, making it so they can't hide, they can't try and protect themselves. Fulvic acid as well is a really great one. So we talked about fulvic acid just a minute ago, but this is also going to disrupt the biofilm that parasites hold onto, and it also improves nutrient absorption. So fulvic acid, kind of a 2-for-1. You're helping with fluoride, you're also helping with parasites. And then the two other ones that I really, really like are oregano oil and black seed oil, which are both antimicrobial, antifungal, and they have properties that support gut cleansing and immune resilience. Take a look at those supplements, research them, find one that's really well-rounded that you can take for a parasite cleanse. Normally, it's a 30-day long parasite cleanse, 28 days, 30 days, where you're giving your body these things to start flushing out these parasites. Very important supplement that I think a lot of people need to know about in this process is also taking activated charcoal supplements. Now, there's a very specific routine for all of these supplements, but especially for a charcoal supplement, it's binding and holding on to these things. Diatomaceous earth is another supplement that pretty much absorbs and binds everything. So as you're going through your detox process, your gut is responsible for everything in your health. There's so much that is linked to it. We'll talk more about as we support our immune function in our body for fighting off specific diseases and taking certain supplements that are going to improve our gut microbiome and what that directly links to when it comes to our health. So, and including our brain, our GI system and our bacteria is directly linked to our brain. There's a lot of incredible studies we'll talk more about, but this is all a part of that process. So there was a study that you guys can look at as well. In 2020, in the Journal of Parasitology Research, showed that black walnut and wormwood significantly reduce parasite load in the animal models. So you can go back and look at those too. Obviously, animals, when it comes to exposure, we also have a lot of exposure to parasites from the animals that we're around too, specifically our dogs or pets. So they get parasites just like we do. We can talk about that in another episode as well when we specifically talk about animals. But the next thing I want to go into is candida and a GI detox. So how do we reset our gut, which is extremely important. So candida overgrowth can lead to sugar cravings, thrush, skin issues, brain fog, so much. So we want to make sure that we're balancing out our candida, especially if we're doing a parasite detox. That's a perfect time to make sure that we're getting a really good balance in our GI system. So we're flushing out these parasites, we're flushing out fluoride. We want things to be able to bind to it. We've talked about activated charcoal and flushing those things out of our body. The reason I like activated charcoal so much is when we start releasing a lot of these things, these parasites, these chemicals, these toxins, especially when we look at heavy metals, which is a really big one, and when we start doing cellular detox, we need something to bind to it and flush it out of our body so that way it doesn't just sit there and get reabsorbed into our cells, right? We want to make sure that as we're detoxing, and trying to push these things out of our body, we have something to grab it and help carry it out of our body so it doesn't get stuck again. As far as candida is concerned, so there's a lot of different types of probiotics that you can start looking into. One of the best ones that I like to go directly for is just starting with fermented foods, which is going to have really good probiotic and bacteria in it as well. So raw apple cider vinegar with mother is very important. Sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, these are all really good bacteria for your gut. They're also going to help lower your gut pH. A lot of times we see a number of things in our body is linked to acidity, even in our teeth. Fluoride was put into these care products to try and strengthen the teeth, but it only strengthens the outside of the teeth and it doesn't protect the inside, the core of our teeth, which the most important thing is flossing and brushing our teeth, especially late at night, because as that bacteria builds, some of that food that sits in there, it turns more acidic. You don't want your mouth to become more acidic because then that's when it's going to start causing damage specifically to your teeth. The only thing, which is what we're talking about now, that should be acidic is our gut. Oregano oil is another really good supplement, which we talked about a little earlier. So it is a potent antifungal. It also fights against candida overgrowth. Too much bacteria is a bad thing as well. We don't want to develop SIBO and things like that. So when we're going through this, I've noticed a lot of people are like, hey, I've had really bad experiences with probiotics. There are certain bacteria that are linked to certain things. Like there are a lot of bacteria that's really good for your brain and for serotonin. Because our gut directly communicates with our brain health. So black seed oil is another really good one to have in your body. So it supports immune function. It's going to combat candida, parasites, and other viruses. And then fiber. So a fiber supplement, use psyllium husk, specifically acacia fiber. Those are kind of the better ways to go. There's flax, which you can use flax to bind and remove die-off toxins and keep digestion regular. The other fibers work the same way as well. Really want to find a healthy fiber supplement that's going to keep that bacteria in your body and microbiome healthy. We have seen in a lot of studies, the more that dietary fiber is increased, we start seeing significant improvement in health outcomes in patients that are fighting off cancer and any other number of diseases that are going through immune therapy. So fiber is a very, very important supplement, especially as we start to flush things out of our body. So when we talk about people that have had bad experiences with probiotics, a lot of the times it's because they're putting all of this overgrowth of bacteria into their GI system and they haven't flushed out all the bad stuff. So you need to get rid of all the bad stuff. Then we start improving it with the good stuff, which is why things like fermented foods, fasting is also really important too. So when we talk about detoxing our gut and having a healthy bacteria in our gut, fasting is fantastic. Doing a fast between 12 to 16 hours is amazing. There's a lot of people who do 24-hour, 48-hour fast. That's great. If you do that once a week or whatever, really my recommendation, what I've personally had the best experience of and what I feel like is maintainable for me and for most people is doing a 12 to 16 hour fast. And then starting off your day with really healthy things for your GI system. Those are some of the first things to start with, followed by some of these other fermented foods like apple cider vinegar, things that help lower gut pH and flush out a lot of this bacteria. And then adding a lot of these other probiotics as things continue. Keep that in mind too. You want to find obviously a good probiotic, but you're not looking for something that's going to obviously overpopulate bacteria before you can flush it out of your body. So getting your GI system on point, getting the right kind of foods in your body is also really important as well. You want to have fibrous foods. You want to have, you don't have too much fiber because too much fiber is also can work as an anti-nutrient. So we do want still to get the nutrients in our body that we're after, especially when we're looking for the suite of B vitamins, which are really important for our gut health and our brain health. So red meats are going to be really important too. Limiting antibiotics is one, we'll talk about this more in another episode. That is also kind of a part of a detox protocol as well. So if you're actively taking tons of antibiotics, you are going to notice there is a huge disruption in your gut microbiome, and you're going to notice increased illness, increased disease risk, and direct weight gain as well. We see that antibiotics are directly correlated with obesity rates, especially in children. So limit antibiotics. That's why animals are given antibiotics, is to fatten them up. There is a direct correlation with how it works on these hormones in our adrenal glands and our bacteria. So stay away from antibiotics when you're going through these cleanses for your GI system. Those can really disrupt this entire process. Taking things that are keeping your gut healthy is how you're going to eliminate getting sick and developing these things that lead to a need for antibiotics. The next thing is really opening up your detox pathways. So as we start to detox our GI system, we are flushing out fluoride and parasites. We also want to open up our liver, our lymph system, and our kidneys. So you can't detox if your drainage pathways are clogged. That's really important for people to know. That's also how you can develop a Herxheimer's reaction. If you're going through a detox process and your detox pathways are clogged, then as your body's trying to use these primary sources of detoxes, they can't. You get basically a backflow, which causes a massive kind of immune reaction. You can get a lot of really bad fevers, chills, body aches. So you want to slowly detox when you go through this process. That's important too, but doing it in a proper way is important. So opening up your detox pathways, and supporting your liver, your kidneys, and your lymph system is going to help all of this go so much smoother and reduce any risk of a Herxheimer's reaction. Now, we see this a lot with clients that do high-dose vitamin C, especially clients that do NAD. They can get a Herxheimer's reaction. They can also have no effect at all because their detox pathways are so clogged, and basically they take all these really great antioxidants and these detoxifiers, which kind of push everything from a cellular level out, and then they get reabsorbed right back in because our body can't detoxify it. So dandelion root is a fantastic supplement that is going to basically increase your bile production, and it's also a fantastic detox enzyme for the liver. You can also take burdock root, which is going to support your blood purification and your kidney filtration. Lugwort, which we talked about just a little bit ago when it comes to the parasite cleanses, it's going to clear toxins from the lungs, and it supports respiratory immunity. It's going to break up a lot of that mucus. And then white willow bark. I personally love white willow bark. There's a lot of supplements that have white willow bark, but that's going to decrease the inflammatory response and support circulatory cleansing. So from our blood vessels and our cells. The other thing too is daily detox tips, things that you can do on a pretty consistent basis. Dry brushing is really important for stimulating your lymph system. So really great option for lymphatic drainage. A lot of times our lymphs get really clogged. So if you can do any kind of like a lymph roll or a dry brushing, you're going to stimulate your lymph system, which is one of our largest detox pathways in areas that can really get clogged easily. Castor oil packs are great, especially over the liver, to reduce inflammation and increase circulation. So if you haven't tried castor oil packs, look up castor oil packs. They're fantastic, and they will pull a lot out of your liver and pull a lot of that inflammatory response out. And you just keep it basically outside of your body, right on top of those areas, and you'll get a lot of really good benefits from that. And then sufficient hydration. So most people should be having anywhere from 3 to 4 liters per day minimum. A lot of people are going to be looking at least a gallon is directly correlated with that. A lot of people, other people will talk about 1 ounce kind of per pound of body weight. Those are all really good ways to go with. I follow like a minimum of a gallon per day. And I think most people should be following that. Adults, if you're at a higher elevation, if you're more active, all of this goes up. So a minimum adult that's not living a very active lifestyle, that needs to just stay hydrated, a gallon per day is fantastic, with a little bit of Baja Gold sea salt. A pinch for electrolyte balance is fantastic. If we start drinking too much water, we start flushing out our electrolytes. A little bit of sodium added on a consistent basis is great. It's going to help keep that water in our cells the way that it needs to. It's going to, especially from the Baja Gold sea salt with all of those trace minerals, it's going to remineralize our body. So that's a really good way to start your day too. You, first thing in the morning, you wake up, start drinking at least 2 glasses of water, take an eighth to a quarter of a teaspoon of Baja Gold sea salt, and then begin the process for the next levels of your cleanses that we've started talking about. The next section of detoxing. So we've really hit quite a few points so far, right? We've hit how to open up our detox pathways. We talked about detoxing our gut and maintaining a healthy candida balance. We've also talked about parasite cleanses and cleansing fluoride from our body. So the next thing is really heavy metals. There's a lot of heavy metals in our body. A lot of people look at heavy metal detoxes. They want to know, how do I detox heavy metals from my body? First off, just to tackle them, common heavy metals. So lead, mercury, aluminum, cadmium, where are those typically found? Well, for one, they're pretty much all around us. We're constantly absorbing things. People don't think we absorb things through our skin. We absorb things through our skin. We absorb things through our mouth. We absorb things through our mucosal membranes. We absorb things through inhalation. There's a lot of ways we absorb things into our body. So there are several ways that we can get exposure to heavy metals, and that's the stuff that really sits deep in our body. So that's really where it's going to be at a cellular level. Lead you're going to get from old pipes or certain paints. Mercury comes from fillings and from fish. If we're talking about vaccines, which at some point we'll talk about in the future. Aluminum, which is in our deodorant and our daily products. It's in our cookware. Cadmium, which is in batteries and cigarettes. So there's a lot of exposure, and this is just a very small list. We have exposure to these heavy metals in so many other areas. So chelation is a really important piece. If anybody's ever looked into heavy metal detoxing, there are actually medical ways that you can chelate your blood. If you feel like you have a need for heavy metal chelation, there's a lot of places that do it. In my opinion, it's fantastic. Chelation is super important for filtering out the toxins that are deep inside of your blood and your cells. As far as a supplement level for chelation support, there's a lot of supplements like zeolite, fulvic acid, which are basically going to trap and carry heavy metals out through your urine and your feces. Cilantro is a fantastic herb, actually, which is great for chelating heavy metals from the brain and from your tissues. So cilantro is fantastic for your body. Spirulina, which is also another supplement that is going to bind to heavy metals and boost glutathione production. Glutathione is a fantastic antioxidant for a number of things, for our skin, for our brain, for our central nervous system. It's also important in our recycling process for a lot of other nutrients. So, we talk about alpha lipoic acid, and we talk about CoQ10 and high dose vitamin C. There's a lot of processes in AD that these are all very, very important for. So basically in this area, an important step is to make sure that your detox pathways are open before chelating, or the metals will be reabsorbed. So that's why we really talk about opening up our detox pathways in our liver, our lymph system, and our kidneys prior to us going through a heavy metal detox or a chelation with supplementation, because we don't want those to get reabsorbed back into our cells. So we want to look at binders. In a heavy metal detox, I definitely recommend taking an activated charcoal supplement because it is going to pull and bind a lot of those things up from our body. Diatomaceous earth. There's a lot of clays that you can use as well. There's a lot of very, very healthy clays that have like a volcanic ash essentially in them that you can take that are going to absorb a lot of those toxins in our skin as well. Look at a lot of those supplements as well, but just make sure that you're thinking about opening up your detox pathways prior to stepping into a heavy metal detox. Those would be some good tips for you before you start in that process. The other really powerful supplement is methylene blue. And we're going to do a whole episode specifically on methylene blue, specifically on anecdotal experiences around methylene blue. My experiences, I love methylene blue. I think that just like every supplement we talk about or any tool that we talk about, there's a specific place and there's a specific routine. There's a lot of things to consider. We're going to dive into all of that in a later episode, but methylene blue is a powerful mitochondrial enhancer and antioxidant for the body. It's fantastic for boosting ATP production, protecting our brain cells. It's an electron carrier. It also works in our redox balance and supports detox pathways there. It's very good for cellular respiration. So it's an oxygenator for our cells. If you haven't heard of methylene blue, look it up, do some research. Like I said, we'll talk about it in a later episode, but I love it. It is shown to protect the brain from oxidative stress in things like Alzheimer's. It's used in low doses to support mitochondrial dysfunction and neurological recovery. A few tips when it comes to methylene blue, because it is a great detoxifier. It has a lot of really good benefits for illness as well. It really comes down to finding a pharmaceutical grade or USP grade methylene blue. So it responds to sunlight. Getting those specific wavelengths from red light therapy or sunlight are going to amplify everything significantly. And when we talk about how to add in NAD into this protocol as well in the future, those two go very, very well together. So that's another really good detoxifier for your body. In a number of different ways. Eventually we'll talk about NAD. NAD is more of a healer. It's great for detoxifying. It's really good for starting those kind of first steps in their body. I prefer nicotinamide riboside, and we'll talk about like Niagen and some of these other supplements too. But as far as moving forward as a detox protocol, so we've kind of mentioned castor oil and castor oil pack benefits. It is important they're all used externally. Castor oil packs, they're a time-tested, safe way to support detoxification and reduce inflammation. There's a lot of people that use them. I'm sure if you guys listen to other podcasts, you're going to listen to a lot of people that talk about the power of castor oil packs, but it's great for liver detoxification as one area. So it's going to stimulate circulation, lymphatic drainage around the liver. As far as lymphatic support, it's going to help clear out a lot of the waste and support our immune system. It also reduces inflammation. A lot of times we can build up acids and inflammatory responses. So that's going to help kind of clear out a lot of those contaminants. It's going to improve digestion as well. So it does help promote bile flow and relieve constipation when used as a pack, not taken orally. And then hormone balance. It also supports liver and gut pathways that help when it comes to our body to process excess estrogen. I can tell you a lot of people, we'll talk more about this when we talk about hormones, but we've noticed there is a lot of high estrogen levels, and it's very hard for our body to process excess estrogen. BPA is a big one. When we look at these plastics that are broken down and that our body is constantly exposed to, they are direct endocrine disruptors. They do a couple of different things. One of the big ones is they actually cause aromatization. So any kind of aromatization of testosterone into estrogen is not good. That's going to provide a significant increase in all of these poor benefits from a hormone response. We want to make sure estrogen is important. Estrogen is very important for women. Estrogen is very important for men, especially for bones. There's a direct correlation between estrogen and cholesterol levels. But when we have something that is aromatizing in our body and it's converting from testosterone to estrogen, and we're getting high estrogen levels, it's directly affecting a number of things in women and in men. So ways to basically help our body to process excess estrogen, castor oil packs are an easy way of doing that. But basically, like, you soak flannel as one example in organic castor oil. You place it over the liver, which is on the right side of your body, just under your rib cage, if you don't know where your liver is. And you can cover it with a towel and basically add a heat pack and leave it in place for about 30 to 60 minutes. So it's an easy way of doing castor oil packs. Look it up. There's a lot of great benefits to it. The next thing that we'll really dive into from a detox perspective is nicotine. This is going to be a very controversial subject. I'm expecting that this is going to go against the norm a little bit, and this is going to probably challenge a little bit of people's thinking. So bear with me a little bit. I invite you to do some more research, but I will say that plant-based nicotine is a very strong detoxifier. So when you look at plant-derived nicotine, even like a plant-derived nicotine patch, there's obviously options like organic tobacco leaves. These are going to stimulate your acetylcholine receptors. They're going to increase your vagal nerve activity, and they're going to enhance your gut motility, your cognitive function, your mucosal and immune response. There's a lot of studies that have shown nicotine can even displace certain biotoxins and parasites. There is a lot more research that's needed. Now, always do your own research, use extreme caution, especially make sure that you have guidance under anything like this. Nicotine is very addictive, but it is a potent detoxifier. And there are a lot of doctors and a lot of physicians that speak on it a lot in regards to the benefits that it has. So one of the things that you can look into, or one of the physicians that's kind of leading the plant-based nicotine directive, is Dr. Brian Ardis. He is somebody that I would say is a leader or pioneer in the field around nicotine and using it and its benefits for things like cancer and COVID, and just as a powerful detoxifier. Look them up, do some research. There's balance when it comes to nicotine before it becomes no longer in a therapeutic realm. So, and I think that's everything in medicine. That's everything in, well, whether you're looking at a alternative form of medicine and holistic approach. If you can find that balance between the therapeutic threshold and the toxic threshold, then obviously knowing that is a specific area to operate in. Great benefits there. I think questioning the norm a little bit on if nicotine is a secret detox weapon is something that needs to be investigated a little bit more, but there are some very compelling research, and there's some things that I recommend everybody look into if you have the time. Now, the top supplements for cellular detox and repair. So some of the ones that I'm going to kind of give you guys as a nice little tip and a rundown for quick things that you can start grabbing and stepping into a cellular detox, which is kind of that next step of the detox protocol. So zeolite essentially binds to heavy metals, glyphosates, ammonia, and other toxins, and safely removes it through the urine and through our stool. It acts as a supportive detox agent. It doesn't strip any of our minerals, which is really important. We want to maintain all those in our body. And there is a PubMed supported study that showed the benefits of zeolite, specifically binding to things like cadmium, lead, and mercury. Do some research, check out zeolite, great supplement from a chelation standpoint. Diatomaceous earth, food grade diatomaceous earth, which is also in silica powder, with basically a rich and mechanical scrubbing action that happens in our gut, and it can help bind to parasites and other toxins. The next one is nicotinamide riboside. So this is an important one that I think we need to really talk about more as things continue. I've personally done a lot of IV NAD. Niagen is another company that offers nicotinamide riboside. And nicotinamide riboside is much easier, essentially key to the door to our cells. It enters very easily. It is the precursor to NAD. It's easier for our body to grab onto and take and make our own NAD. It's essential for mitochondrial health and cellular repair. It supports detox enzymes, longevity genes like sirtuins, and it may even protect against metabolic and neurodegenerative disease. So look at NAD specifically if you're looking for one to take at home. NR is great. There is a nicotinamide riboside availability through Niagen, through a lot of IV companies. So if you have that opportunity, that is great. You're going to get incredible dosing. You get far better absorption. Anything through the IV is better than taking it orally, especially from like a cellular kind of detox perspective, because you're going to absorb nearly 100% of it. So there is a little bit of downtime. I'm a true believer in the food that we eat and the supplements we take, specifically orally, to take care of our GI system as well. That's a whole nother component to your health. There is a whole nother arm that's responsible for, but yeah, nicotinamide riboside is another one. And then MSM. So MSM is a supplement that's sulfur rich. It helps with detoxifying liver pathways, reducing inflammation. It also helps with building keratin and collagen. It's great for joint pain, skin, and a lot of other detox support. But if you find a really good MSM supplement, that is a great way to start not only detoxifying, but there's a lot of really good benefits when it comes to disease and cancer reduction from a sulfur-rich compound. The next one that I'll talk about is sulforaphane, and sulforaphane is typically found in broccoli sprouts. It activates NRF2 in our body, which is the body's master antioxidant for our detox pathways. It also supports a phase 2 liver detox, glutathione production. It can also prevent DNA damage. There's a lot of studies that show it's great for protection against cancer, inflammation, other environmental toxins. There's companies like Brockshot and a couple other ones that offer really great products. So those are great detoxifiers for your body, great antioxidants. It's a good place to start when it comes to that. So then the next topic that I really want to step into is a spike protein detox. So spike proteins, I don't know if a lot of people have heard about spike proteins. Spike proteins are very important. We see a lot of spike proteins are these surface proteins found on viruses like SARS, COVID. They're produced in the body in response to the mRNA COVID vaccines. No matter which way you swing on this, there is direct research showing the impact of the spike proteins that come into our body. There's a lot of concerns that have emerged around lingering spike protein fragments, especially because they're contributing to inflammatory and immune dysregulation and clotting. So there's a lot of companies that are offering some great spike protein detoxes. There's really 3 components when it comes to a spike protein detox. So if you're worried about having spike proteins, you've had the COVID vaccine, or you've had several boosters, you want to protect your body, you want to detox any of these spike proteins, which I do recommend. The first key component is nattokinase, which is a fibrolytic enzyme from fermented soy. So it essentially helps to break down spike proteins in blood clots. It's going to support circulation, endothelial health, so the endothelial tissue, and inflammation. So it's a huge component. The second one is bromelain, and bromelain is a pineapple-derived enzyme that reduces fibrin and spike protein activity. It's anti-inflammatory. It helps clear a lot of mucus, and it's also really important for immune modulation. So that's the second one. The third one is curcumin, and curcumin is very, very powerful. I love this supplement. It's an active compound that's in turmeric. A lot of times it's hard to find a good form of turmeric. So you want to find one that's typically in a liposomal form for better absorption. You can also pair it with black pepper, which is going to help with absorption as well. And they work very, very well together, especially for circulation. But we see that it is really a broad anti-inflammatory, it's an antiviral, it's an antioxidant, and it helps to downregulate spike protein-induced inflammation. The next is the importance of red light therapy, cold plunging, and saunas. So how do we detox through heat, light, and cold exposure, and even grounding? Is kind of the other one that we'll add into that. So as far as sauna therapy, infrared or traditional sauna therapy, saunas have been used for centuries to aid in sweat-induced detox. So getting everything out of our detox pathways through our skin, especially from when we look at those heavy metals that are in our bloodstream, when we look at anything that's in our lymphatic system. So when we look at heavy metals, BPA, phthalates, molds, other toxins, it's very, very beneficial for mobilizing toxins that are stored in fat cells as well, increasing circulation and lymphatic flow. It's really important for supporting immune regulation and heat shock proteins. And then it's also, in regard to infrared saunas, it helps to penetrate deeper than just traditional heat saunas. So I do like infrared light. There are studies, specifically one that was in 2012, that was in Environ Public Health, showed that saunas increase excretion of arsenic, lead, mercury, and cadmium. There was another study that found that the phthalates that our bodies metabolize will reduce significantly after regular sauna use. So a lot of those phthalates that we see in our daily care products or deodorants, things like that. If we can reduce those from regular sauna use, that's a nice key component as well. So in your detox process, if you're trying to get phthalates out of your body, if you're trying to get more natural deodorant, increase your sauna use, get those things out of your body and decrease that inflammatory response, get your body feeling better. So infrared saunas, great process to add into the detoxifying section of the next step in your protocol. Red light therapy as well. So if you're specifically utilizing any kind of red light, we see that low level red light and near infrared red light stimulates mitochondria. It's going to increase ATP production. It's going to reduce oxidative stress, enhance tissue regeneration. So infrared light, red light therapy, it works really well when we talk about NAD and specifically when we talk about methylene blue, but it works for cellular repair and detoxifying at the mitochondrial level. It's also going to reduce inflammation and pain. It's going to improve your sleep and your circadian rhythm. It's going to support your skin, your brain, your hormone health. There was a study that was back in 2016 that was published in Frontiers in Neuroscience, confirmed that red light effects on inflammation and neuroprotection and mitochondrial function are all present. And then it also helps to modulate the NRF2 pathway, which is going to support antioxidant defenses. Cold plunging as well is kind of the next section. Cold plunging, we do see short-term cold exposure does stimulate our sympathetic nervous system. It's going to increase circulation, lymph flow, cellular resilience. When we talk about our sympathetic nervous system, we have two nervous systems. We have our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our calm nervous system. That is our feed and breed. And we have fight or flight. And fight or flight is sympathetic. That's our adrenal response or epinephrine. That's when everything gets sped up in our body. So from those benefits right there, we're going to see improvement in dopamine and mood. It's going to trigger brown fat activation, which is important for metabolic health. That's really where a lot of our body's metabolism comes from. And it's going to reduce inflammation. It's also going to flush out the lymphatic system. So there were studies back at specifically one that was in Cell Metabolism that was published in 2021 that found that cold exposure increased mitochondrial biogenesis and anti-inflammatory cytokinesis. Also has been shown to improve immune markers and insulin sensitivity. Insulin sensitivity is huge. There's a lot of people who are dealing with several different forms of insulin resistance, borderline type 2 diabetes, all the way up to type 1 diabetes. A lot of them are also progressed from a mitochondrial standpoint, so a form of mitochondrial diabetes from an inability from our cells to have the energy to depolarize and communicate. So any way that we can increase the mitochondrial efficiency in our body, the better outcomes that we're going to have, which is why we see benefits from NAD and methylene blue, specifically working to improve our insulin response. They work very, very well, and specifically on another nutrient in our body, which is alpha lipoic acid. So alpha lipoic acid is very important for insulin sensitivity. A lot of people take berberine as well, but berberine is a great supplement to take daily. Lipoic acid is something you can take on a consistent basis as well. You can get that through injections, intramuscularly, or you can even give it IV. There's a lot of great benefits there, but specifically as we improve our body's mitochondrial function and we support NAD levels in our body, then we have better improvements in the use of alpha lipoic acid, which works on insulin sensitivity. So all of that coming down to the effects that if we can improve our body's mitochondrial effectiveness through cold plunges, we're also supporting other areas of our body, like the maintenance of NAD and its support on alpha lipoic acid and its use on the mitochondria and also on our cells, which ultimately we're going to see with better insulin response, we're going to have less fat accumulation, we're going to have better use of nutrients, and we're going to have better metabolism. So keep that in mind too. We'll talk more about that in some of the nutritional episodes that we'll do, but that's a pretty exciting one right there. So metabolism benefits, obviously, as well, not just detox, but metabolism benefits in cold plunging. And then sleep and grounding when it comes to detox. So sleep and grounding I think are one that gets missed a lot. Sleep is your body's natural detox window. Detox doesn't work without deep quality sleep. So we have a lot of systems in our body. One of the ones is our lymphatic system, which clears out toxins from our brain. We also have our liver and our kidneys that go into a restorative detox mode during our sleep. We also have hormones like melatonin and growth hormone that specifically are triggered in REM sleep that repair their tissues. And there was even a study back in 2023 in Science that showed brain cells shrinking by 60% during sleep, increasing the clearance of waste. So when we look at like amyloid proteins, that's a huge piece. We want these toxins excreting through our body. And if we see that brain cells are decreasing by 60% in size and increasing the clearance of waste from that decreased size of the brain cells, that's important for our body. Poor sleep has also been linked to an increase in toxin accumulation, inflammation, poor immunity. I can't tell you how many times personally, when I don't go with proper sleep and I don't prioritize sleep, I start having reductions in recovery and loss of muscle. I start having accumulation of fat. My diet gets thrown off. I have increase in cravings, poor mood, decrease in immune function. I start getting sick quicker. Sleep is our body's natural ability of ridding toxins. So prioritize your sleep. I even see there's a lot of people that will prioritize going to the gym and working out over sleep. That's the worst thing you can do. Prioritize your sleep over exercise. Sleep is a more important part, especially for regulating your body's central nervous system. So getting your body out of a constant sympathetic nervous system is really important for recovery, along with meditation. When we look at science behind manifesting and visualization and some of these other practices, proper meditation, calming your brain, getting your body into a natural, healthy state, and then going into a deep sleep is very important for your body's ability to heal and reset and flush toxins out. So prioritize your sleep. One of the key pieces that goes with sleep is grounding. So grounding sheets, grounding mats, direct contact with the earth's surface, or a grounded material to reduce our body's electrical charge and inflammation. We see a lot of inflammation that comes from an abnormal electrical charge and an abnormal frequency in our body. We see direct benefits in reducing cortisol levels, improving our heart rate variability, enhancing deep sleep and tissue repair, and helping with our immune system and our pain reduction, all from grounding. There's been a lot of studies that have come out recently in and around grounding, especially some of which were in like the Journal of Environmental and Public Health and European Biology. And grounding is improving inflammatory markers, sleep, and mood. Grounding is a great way of, especially when it comes to mental health, getting in touch with nature and reducing that inflammatory response in our body. Very important. Grounding sheets basically connect you to the outlet or the grounding port of your outlet and allow passive grounding while you're sleeping. It's another great way. There are some really cool studies out there in and around grounding. So if you can't get outside and go and touch some grass for a while, the great next step is grounding sheets or a grounding mat. So get your body's central nervous system under control, decrease that inflammation, get your electrical charge grounded, especially when it comes to your brain and the inflammation in our brain, which directly affects our sleep cycles. So supplements to support sleep, recovery, and further detox. So sleep, a lot of people are wondering, like, how do I support my sleep? What are good things that are going to improve my sleep? Ashwagandha is a fantastic supplement for your sleep. It is basically an adaptogenic herb that reduces cortisol. It's going to improve your sleep quality. It's going to support thyroid and immune balance, and it helps to enhance your sleep, restore deep sleep. It also is going to reduce stress, relieve inflammation, and it does also support your liver enzyme regulation. So if you have a fatty liver, you have elevated liver enzymes, ashwagandha is a great supplement for that. There are clinical trials to confirm that ashwagandha does improve sleep latency, duration, and quality, which was in a 2020 study. Additional sleep and other kind of detox enhancing supplements, magnesium, glycinate, L-theanine, these are great things that are going to improve sleep, calm your nervous system. It's going to cause relaxation without drowsiness. It also helps GABA, which is an important hormone in relaxing our brain and helping us get to sleep. You can take GABA specific supplements as well, which help obviously reduce anxiety and induce a more restful sleep, calm the brain. There are 5-HTP supplements too, which are basically the precursor to melatonin and serotonin. One of the important ones is vitamin D. I can tell you that if your vitamin D levels are off and they're poor, that is going to directly mess with melatonin and serotonin in the body. So get a vitamin D lab test done. If you're low in vitamin D, I highly recommend doing vitamin D injections. That's what I do. It has significantly improved my sleep, significantly improved my mood. So through that melatonin and that serotonin production, I do vitamin D weekly. So once a week, 50,000 IUs. If you guys have access to that, definitely do it. You don't want to take too much vitamin D orally. I don't know if I'd go over about 4,000 to 5,000 IUs of vitamin D orally per day. So oral vitamin D is great. I would opt into a vitamin D injection if you can. Sunlight, of course, too. We're just not going to get enough sunlight exposure, unfortunately, but definitely still get your sunlight. That's going to be a huge component, which is why we see increased issues in depression and insomnia in people that don't get enough sunlight. Melatonin, of course, is a powerful, powerful antioxidant for our brain, especially for protecting our brain and getting rid of the plaque that can build up in our brain. It's a powerful antioxidant that also supports sleep regulation, supports mitochondrial detox, so that's cellular detox, and our pineal gland health, which is another obviously key component of sleep. If your pineal gland is calcified, you're not going to get the best sleep. And then as far as liver support, Dandelion root is my favorite. There's a lot of other really great kind of nighttime aid liver detoxifiers, but dandelion root is great. Take a lot of water, keep your sodium up, take some electrolytes, make sure you're protecting your body in that aspect because it is a natural water flush out of your body as well, but it's great for your heart. So really good benefits with dandelion root. There are a lot of supplements on this episode that we've talked about so far on this podcast that I do want to talk about how you need to avoid during pregnancy. Specific ones are going to be the parasite detoxes. So the parasite detoxes are things that I would steer away from when you're pregnant, specifically not the herbs that are working to induce uterine contractions. So wormwood specifically is going to induce uterine contractions. When we look at oregano oil, when we look at some of these other specific supplements, we don't want to increase uterine contractions. Like clove oil is another one too that can stimulate uterine contractions. It can also irritate some mucosal membranes. So we want to be very careful with anybody that's going through any pregnancy. So I would wait. Get through your pregnancy and then look at any kind of other parasite detoxes. Same thing, castor oil internally, I would avoid it, unless you're under medical supervision for that. And then another high dose detox herbs too, like burdock root, dandelion root, white willow bark can have some contraindications as well. So try not to detox too much or worry about detox when you are actively pregnant. Some of the other things that you can focus on are probiotics, fermented foods, keeping yourself hydrated, definitely taking minerals like things in Baja Gold sea salt. Mild fiber is always good too, keeping your GI system healthy and on point. Women that are pregnant, we see a lot better reduction in autism and better births and healthier pregnancies with women that prioritize red meats and more fattier diets while they're going through pregnancy. So keep that in mind. Definitely avoid fluoride while you're actively pregnant. That is one that you can kind of eliminate. And then having a nice healthy source of iodine while you're going through pregnancy is great too, because that's going to protect yourself. We do see it leads to higher IQ rates in women that are keeping a healthy natural iodine level in their body, and obviously reducing inhibition of iodine by just having better water in their body. Now, as far as like final detox essentials, some of the kind of the closing statements here that I want to wrap up with. Important things: maintain a really good, adequate water intake, especially when you're trying to support liver, kidney, and lymphatic movement. So a gallon per day. Take in your electrolytes with those natural trace minerals like Baja Gold sea salt. If you're looking for Baja Gold sea salt, there's a link in my bio. Drainage first. Always support the liver, the lymph, and the bowels before going into a heavy detox to avoid the Herxheimer's reaction. So keep that in mind. Detox is a little bit of a science. There is specific dosing, specific recommendations, what you should take when, and how you prioritize detox. A detox isn't just about cutting out toxins. It's about supporting your body's innate intelligence to release, repair, and rebuild. And the cycles are basically in layers, and start with drainage, go into a cellular detox, and then a deeper detox. Avoid aggressive protocols, especially during pregnancy. Prioritize nourishment, minerals, rest. And I can tell you, if you guys are interested in finding out the specifics on my recommendations for detox, if you want a really in-depth detox protocol, there is the Vitalis detox protocol that I put together, which is a 28-day detox protocol. If you are interested in this, I'll be posting this in the link in my bio as well. So reach out to me. I'm also open to doing any type of personalized detox and supplement support, so we can jump on a consultation, and I'm happy to guide you on your journey here and help to deliver insights. I don't believe that medicine is a one-size-fits-all approach. I truly believe that this is specific to the person. So if you are looking to start the journey of detoxing, start the journey of ridding your body of these toxins, trying to avoid any type of toxins on a consistent basis, and you want some guidance, please reach out to me. Feel free to DM me on social media, and we can speak a little bit more and talk about this. But 28-day detox protocol, we go into everything from limiting toxic exposure to proper supplements to nutrient timing and dosage to the entire 4-week process and what you need to have a successful detox and get your body on the right track. This is a little bit of a wild process. A lot of people aren't sure what step to take, where to go for the detox, what is right, what is not right, recommended supplements. If you're also looking for what are the right kind of supplements, what are the best ones to invest in, ones that necessarily aren't going to break the bank and aren't the most expensive, but are really going to work and do the job. I'm happy to jump into that with all of you and guide you. So if you're interested, link in the bio, Vitalis 28-day detox protocol. Reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook, shoot me a DM. I'm happy to talk with you directly and set up an ongoing plan to help you. Now, if you found this episode to be valuable, please share it with anyone else who needs it. Let someone else know about the detox reset and the Vitalis 28-day detox protocol. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at the Vitalis Podcast or on Facebook. And as always, truth, healing, and vitality starts with awareness. So until next time, stay curious, stay powerful, and I'll talk to you all next week. Thank you for tuning into the Vitalis Podcast. If you found value in today's episode, we would be so grateful if you'd leave a rating and a review. It truly helps us grow. And share this episode with friends and family who are also on a journey towards deeper health and truth. To stay up to date on weekly episodes, be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and follow us on Instagram at the Vitalis Podcast. Please remember the content shared on this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It's not a substitute for personalized medical or mental health advice, nor does it establish a provider-patient relationship. Always consult with your physician or qualified healthcare professional before making changes to your health protocols.